I'm going to show you the real reason why the Raptors are still this good, and why they're on pace to have a better season than 2019 after losing an all-time great. Then, I know there's still a big chunk of the season left, but way too early, I'm going to attempt to predict the Raps' 2020 repeat potential and break down their chances when it really counts in the playoffs. First, I ask how you'll remember the Black Mamba. Ona Ebodaga says, as an all-time great player and father, going on to say, after this tragic event, he vowed to work 10 times harder because that's what Kobe would have wanted. Rewards for the top 5 and Speaks last year on their way. The question's coming up for next vid. Shout out to compete this year. Mentally beating teams down, Nick Nurse's system favoring off-ball pin downs and quick ball movement is leading Toronto to new heights. The 9 returning Toronto rotation players from 2019 are combining to improve their points per game by over 34 per night. 2019-20's Raptors feature an extremely lengthy core, and with their collective wingspans with their relentless activity, they're a nightmare to score against. A staggering 6 Toronto rotation players have a wingspan of at least 7'2" in Serge Ibaka, Marc Gasol, Rondae Hollis-Jefferson, OG Anunoby, Pascal Siakam, and Chris Boucher. And while Van Vliet and Lowry can't compete on the glass with those guys in practice, as the little guy must do in this league, their heart and hustle more than make up for their size most of the time. Kyle Lowry's the guy who sets the tone with his intensity and leave it all out there mentality. He'll dive on loose balls and take a charge on the bulkiest of slashers without a thought, as he's second behind Montrezl Harrell for league-wide charges drawn. 4 days ago, Lowry sustained whiplash after awkwardly colliding with Miles Turner. He missed a game, then came back to drop 27 on the new-look Wolves, but Norman Powell and Gasol remain sidelined in what's been an injury-plagued season, one that's seen the Raptors be tops in the league in man games lost, yet still be second in the East. Even missing a dominant attacker and brilliant perimeter defender in Norm Powell, who's having a breakout season, nothing less than that. Playmaking center, former Defensive Player of the Year Marc Gasol's floor spacing, playmaking, and patented rim protection, winning's somehow been maintained. Rising up from out of nowhere this season, but ridiculously not picked for the 2020 Rising Stars team. Absolutely blasphemous. Terence Davis has gone from undrafted unknown to one of the best breakout stories in the NBA this season. Mesmerizing dribble combos followed by incredibly tough, rangy shot making is only some of what's in the bag for TD, as he's proving that NBA front offices who considered selecting him in the late second round and didn't, shot themselves in the foot. If you haven't watched him come off the bench to give elite two-way value for Toronto consistently, then especially if you're someone who didn't pick him for the Rising Stars roster, I suggest you do just that. Terence is knocking down a second best among rookies 42.9% from deep, and after he wasn't named to that team, the Rook dropped 31 points while hitting 6 of those threes. And just salivate over these beastly percentages in Davis's last 10 games. Looking at this man's potential, given how he's producing, I'd compare him to a young, smaller version of Jimmy Butler, who's less of the defender Jimmy was and maybe even better offensively than Butler is. That's how good I believe Terence Davis is going to become. He makes big-time shots from distance, contested shots, to change the momentum of games. That's extremely rare among rookies, especially on elite teams. Also, the shots he's making are star caliber, and Davis's smooth stroke from distance makes them easy money. Both he and Jimmy were 4-year college players while having deep range, shot creating, and defensive ability. Even in Butler's second career season, Terence's rookie numbers stack up nicely with him. I know it's a long shot, but I've got big-time belief in TD too. The streak was just ended at 15 straight wins, which among any of the Toronto sports teams is the greatest streak of all time, and without Serge Ibaka and Rondae Hollis-Jefferson, who went at full strength of the Raptors' bench front court, that streak wouldn't have survived as long as it did. Serge is knocking down a career best in points per game and three-point percentage, while Rondae's right behind Giannis Antetokounmpo and ahead of Jimmy Butler for offensive rebounds among small and power forwards. Boardman gets paid became a phrase as popular as it gets in Toronto last spring, and with the way Hollis-Jefferson's reaching out and fighting his way in to constantly keep possessions alive, he's somewhat replaced that aspect of what Kawhi did on the glass. Next to him at center, as hungry as ever to make daggers from distance and as cold as ever to wear scarves, Serge Ibaka is reclaiming his reputation from OKC as a scoring option you can consistently rely on. Last year, he shot 29% from deep. He's upped that to just under 40% this year. Someone's clearly motivated after the fun guy left town. Stepping up to the pressured task of having to make a sudden jump into becoming the Raptors' relied-upon first scoring option, Pascal Siakam's new and improved handle off the dribbles gotten him whatever, however, on whomever he wants. The All-Star starter's taken the shots available with the Claw's departure and provided the steaming second-place Raptors with big-time production in every category. In his fourth career season at 25, Siakam's at his physical peak, but his experience facing hostile defenses has given him an extremely poised playmaking IQ. On the other side, he's got a sensational mix of wingspan and lateral quickness, which makes him 17th league-wide in defensive rating. But most notably shocking about his game is his improved facilitating awareness, when if you blitzed him in the past, he'd panic and throw it away. Spicy P's now got the vision to scope out defensive game plans and seamlessly find the next play. It's easy to forget last spring in just his third season, he came through as Toronto's second option with 20-plus points per game finals averages, but being counted on as the option is a completely different experience. Pascal's faced his adversity, but he's handled that responsibility pretty damn well. Lockdown defender on the wing, OG Anunoby's coming off a career-best 25-point performance, and while some say he's Kawhi's replacement, since they're at the same position, there's much more to it, which I'll get to. But we just saw what OG's capable of when he's locked in, and is relentless throughout every minute of the game. He's on the floor for his claw-like mix of lateral quicks and strength defensively, but Toronto needs that deceitful three-point trigger of his to consistently produce buckets like it was against Minnesota. If his jumper isn't consistent, given the minutes he logs per game, the Raps won't reach their full potential. The bottom line for OG is to stay confident no matter what. Know you're in the best NBA organization for a reason, and not to shy away when your jumper isn't falling. I can't say backup because that's Serge, but I guess rotational center Chris Boucher is in his third season, but it's his first campaign where he's played more than 5.8 minutes per game and been a legit relied-upon rotation player. Because of his lack of experience, his defensive rotations are still improving, but given his combination of a 7'4" wingspan and springy vertical, his potential defensively is off the charts. For now, he's falling for pump fakes way too often, but he's an efficient stretch five who can at times pop up for unforeseen highlight blocks. And attacking the basket, the lengthy intimidation that makes me think he'll eventually be an elite defender, also allows him to make ruthless, frankly unstoppable takes to the basket. Stealing gems is becoming a habit for Masai and the Raptors front office, as Boucher's a part of a roster where 4 of his fellow undrafted brothers are also making a name for themselves, and I'm starting to think maybe this 2020 team is even better than their special 2019 squad. 2020's team's deeper, but you also can't underestimate its star power. But you gotta hear this incredibly odd Raptor fact before I predict their playoff fate way too early. It's not only Terence Davis who's unrecognized by the NBA's assistant coaches who picked the Rising Stars team, but the Raptors' first and second year players throughout the entire 2010s, now into the 20s, have been shamefully snubbed for the Rising Stars game almost on a yearly basis. 18 damn times over the years, Toronto's rookies and sophomores have gotten snubbed for the Rising Stars game. In DeMar DeRozan's rookie year, rising bigs Ed Davis twice, and Jonas Valanciunas' rookie year. Most disrespectfully shocking, however, is Terence Ross, Norman Powell, DeLon Wright, Pascal Siakam, Fred VanVleet, Jakob Poeltl, all being left out for the Rising Stars game in both seasons they were eligible. So either the NBA's hiding the Raptors' up-and-coming talents or simply not paying attention. The 2020 Raptors have straight up beasted on and embarrassed the NBA through 54 games, keeping a championship culture strongly intact. I didn't think they had what it takes at the start of the season, even through 2 videos covering them. However, I'm starting to realize how deeply talented they really are. If they're behind in the last minutes of a game, they just run full court press and get right back in it. It's happened time and time again. Most notably, they've replaced Kawhi Leonard not with another single generational talent, but with a multitude of pieces who replace that generational talent's dominant qualities. OG Anunoby's upgraded his defense in his third season, making up for the Kawhi loss defensively. Siakam's development as a scorer and confident playmaker does the same thing on the other end. Then the multitude of pieces, the length they have on the perimeter, also makes up for Kawhi defensively. It's not just OG on that end. And then there's Kyle Lowry's new shot-making confidence, which we can't underestimate. We can't think he's the same guy back in the LeBronto days, because it seems as a champion, he's no longer afraid of truly stepping up to the moment like he was in those days, and instead of getting rattled by his opponent, he's the one rattling his opponents. There's zero big-time egos on this Raptors team as well. They still have a lot to prove though. It's a conversation for another day, but I think Toronto should legitimately be considered as a threat to reclaim their championship, and I'll predict that they do just that. But in your opinion, why or why not are the Raptors legit 2020 contenders? Subscribe if you haven't already and enjoyed the content. This was your boy D Flow. Go check out some of my recent uploads, and I'll see you next video.